G'day. Today we're going to be doing a landscape painting inspired by Ghost of Tsushima. Normally I'd start by explaining the rationale behind today's painting over a montage of gameplay footage, but this time I'm just going to shut up for a bit and let this footage speak for itself. Now that is one hell of an introduction. I've got to say, the first time I played this game I wasn't expecting to choke up as the title appeared after the prologue, but here we are. So, how to explain this game? You know the feeling when you see an absolutely stunning sunset? The sensation that you're a very small piece of a very big world, that there are things beyond your comprehension, that beauty is a force of nature, and that you feel truly #blessed to be a part of it all? That's how Ghost of Tsushima makes you feel about every 10 seconds. From its opening moments, it was clear to me that this game was going to be something special and that I was going to have to do a painting of it. There were two problems with that. The first was that simply playing the game made me feel utterly artistically inadequate. Ghost of Tsushima is more like a painting than most paintings, and when simply walking around makes you gasp out loud in admiration, the idea of making a painting of such a vibrant world feels like it could only end in disappointment for everyone involved. So that's the first problem. The second is, since the game came out, I've been spending all my free time playing it instead of painting it. This doesn't often happen with me, particularly with open world games, which I tend to leave unfinished. A big part of my motivation to play games is the opportunity to immerse myself in an interactive artwork, and open world gameplay, where you're reduced to chasing down every question mark on a map, often places a distant second to that prime directive. But in the case of Ghost of Tsushima, the gameplay is as much a work of art as the world it takes place in. Even in combat, this game is like a painting, rapid, precise brushstrokes rendered in mud and blood. It's possible that many players were expecting something a bit more Samurai Simulator, but Ghost of Tsushima is much less realistic and much more hyper-real. Unlike other open-world games like Assassin's Creed or slashy actioners like Dark Souls, the world we have here is entrancing, intoxicating, an ultra-saturated dreamscape where colour and meaning combine, a bit like the beautiful cadmium yellow of the golden forest that I'm painting here. Fun fact, cadmium is toxic, which is just one of several good reasons why you shouldn't eat your paints. More cadmium facts: proper cadmium yellow paints are super expensive. The stuff I'm using here costs over 60 New Zealand dollars a tube, which for all of you in the US is equivalent to 220 dimes plus 250 nickels and 8 bleens in real money. There's a lot of yellow in Ghost of Tsushima, and this strikes me as a bit unusual. Yellow is a particularly bright colour, it always catches the eye. Think of warning stripes on snakes or wasps. For this reason, in gaming, yellow is usually used sparingly, mostly either as part of the user interface or to signify something in-game. Think of yellow climbable ledges in Horizon Zero Dawn or The Last of Us. And although this works, it's also quite quickly become an unlovely trope. However, in Ghost of Tsushima, yellow isn't just used as a hint, it's an entire area. In any other game this might be careless. Here, it's intentional. You can see the pattern repeat, with other colours that have in-game significance: blue flowers, red leaves. The point I'm slowly getting to is that this prolific use of colour is one of the main things that works to make Ghost of Tsushima so involving. Whenever possible, the usual video game elements like user interface icons and repetitive canned animations are moved or removed to make sure your time with the game is less a game and more an unfiltered experience of a new and different world. In the game's story, emotions are often muted or suppressed, but in the landscape we see and feel them in full bloom. And while we reflect on what is potentially a load of bollocks, I'll paint a reflective road and get my wife to stoke my ego.
Looking neat.
During an early flashback, there's a scene set under a red maple tree featuring an unfeasibly large number of leaves falling and blowing about in the breeze. It's absurd, but it also feels a lot like how memory actually works. The bright colours of strong emotion, the soft focus of distance, the strange accentuations of repeated recall. And as well as embracing the fluidity of memory, this is also the game leaning into its samurai flick inspirations, like there's a small army of stagehands hiding in the tree dumping leaves just above the camera operator. And I suppose it's also a way for the developers to show off their extremely pretty particle effect system by cranking up the density to a simply unbelievable level. Sorry about that. So, with all that going on, I really wanted to get this painting looking and feeling exactly right. I've painted a stormy sky, as storms are a metaphor in the game for protagonist Jin's and the player's evolution into a vengeful ghost. There's mist hanging over the lake and a temple visible in between the beautiful yellow trees, which, at the risk of spoiling the view, I should point out are actually ginkgo trees, whose yellow leaves are as beautiful as their smell is horrific. Ginkgo fruits have been described as smelling like a mixture of dog leavings and vomit. But they're pretty, so let's ignore that and paint the wind. The guiding wind is a major gameplay and visual element in Ghost of Tsushima, and I wanted to portray that in the painting. How to do that? We'll take the same approach the game does. Let's start by filling this big open field with a whole lot of pampas grass. We'll then add a bunch of particle effects with the fan brush. I was able to use this brush to do both the far away and the close-up grass. It's versatile and I use it a lot, which I guess makes me a fantastic fan brush fan and or stan. We'll pamper the pampas by giving it a good fluffing. This will blur it slightly and make it look like it's blowing in the wind, and it wouldn't be an accurate painting of Ghost of Tsushima without some extremely enthusiastic particle effects, so we'll just drop those in up the top with the fan brush and another judicious bit of gentle fluffing. We'll use our palette knife to carve out a road, add a bit more to those gorgeous ginkgo stink trees, resurface the road, replant this pampas, and a bit surprisingly I think we can pretty much call this one done. After, of course, we add a few more airborne particle effects. You can never have too many. Let's see how it compares to the scene that inspired it. And I think we might just have done that one justice. Ah, thanks, horse. And as always, thank you for watching.